Hello again. So we're working through the book of Ephesians, looking at different themes. Yesterday we saw how to live like Christ lived, live a life of faith. Today, how to love like Christ loved. Paul uses the word love in the book of Ephesians 17 times, and it can be summarized in three main uses in the book of Ephesians. The first, and by far the greatest, Paul describes God's incredible love for us. So we see that in chapter 2, verse 4. But God is so rich in mercy, and he loved us so much that even though we were dead because of our sins, he gave us life when he raised Christ from the dead. Paul starts with God's love for us, and it's a love that is so absolutely amazing that in chapter 3, verse 19, he says, "May you experience the love of Christ, though it's too great to understand fully." I like that. I like what Paul says there. He simply recognizes that Christ's love is so incredibly full, so great, that none of us can truly understand the depths, the heights, the width of Christ's love. This is not the only passage that Paul talks about this reality. Now, because of this love that God has for us, we too can develop a love for others. In chapter 4, verse 2, Paul says, "Always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love." As we grow to love the church, Paul's encouragement to us is that we make allowances for each other. Yes, we hold each other to a high standard, but the way we treat each other is to be guided by the principle of love. That's what's to characterize us, not a criticism of each other, but instead an acceptance of each other, a genuine affection for each other. Then finally, we can say that our life is to simply be full of love. Chapter 5, verse 1 and 2, "Imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you are his dear children. Live a life full of love, following the example of Christ." As Paul thought of Christ, what he thought of was love. As Paul thought of the Ephesian church, he wanted to think of love. As Paul thinks of us, as Jesus thinks of us today, we are to be characterized by a life full of love. Love for God, love for each other, love for the world around us. So today, go and love like Jesus loved. Tomorrow, we'll finish up by talking about going like Jesus went. See you tomorrow.